Come on, people now, smile on your brother. Everybody get together. Try to love one another right now. Come on, people now, smile on your brother. Everybody get together. Try to love one another right now. All right. Hey, this is Dr. Laz from MIA in the 305. Thought I'd start up with that song because it's an appropriate one for this week's Torah portion, which is Chaya Sarah, the life of Sarah. And which is interesting because the first thing it talks about is Sarah's passing on. And it's named Chaya Sarah, the life of Sarah. What the heck does that mean? Well, I think one of the things is that, you know, people ask you, what's the opposite of life? People usually say death. There's life and there's death. No, there's birth and there's death. The opposite of death is birth. The opposite of birth is death. But life is forever. Okay, it's kind of a comforting thought. The soul, the essence of the person lives forever. So our eyes might not perceive it because our eyes are limited. You know, we only perceive the physical, what's in front of us. So here it's the Chaya Sarah, the life of Sarah, because the life of Sarah goes on forever. Her soul, her amazing soul, you look at Abraham and Sarah, like the first couple, and the entire lineage of Am Yisrael is passed on through them. So a pretty heavy-duty couple. Talk about a power couple. Wow. That is, I guess, the power couple in history, Abraham and Sarah. And I'm singing the song not about the greatness of Sarah's tent, of Abraham and Sarah's tent in the wilderness. Their tent was had openings on four sides. Passerbys or travelers through the desert. They're hot, they're thirsty, they feel miserable, and all of a sudden they come into this tent where it's cooler. Okay, it can't be too much cooler. They didn't have AC or anything back then, but they're out of the sun. There's some shade there, and Abraham is serving all sorts of goodies to these people. And they said one of the great things that Abraham and Sarah accomplished in the world, what their influence was that they brought this notion of one God to the entire world. Okay? So before then, people believed in many gods, different kinds of gods. God is expressing himself through the sun and the moon and the stars and the trees and the earth and the dust on their feet, etc., etc. But Abraham and Sarah came to realize that there was really only one God who made everything. And so it's just one uniqueness of God. But I want to speak about something else in this week's Torah portion because it's mind-boggling. So stay with me. I'm going to try to do this quickly as possible because my buddy Zach Lind, one of my students from Manhattan Day School, he always tells me, don't make them so long. All right, Zach, this one is for you. I'm trying to make it short and sweet. Okay, so we all know there's this, not in this week's Torah portion, but there's a notion of hocheach tochiach, which means, now I'm at school now, so you're going to hear maybe some noise in the background. This is my music room, which is pretty cool, huh? You got to love it. You got to love it. Oh, yeah, lots of goodies, all sorts of hands-on drums and keyboards and everything. It's pretty cool. So hocheach tochiach is usually translated as you shall surely rebuke, a double expression of tochacha, right? Of rebuking. That always bothered me, huh? Like we need the good Lord to tell us, you got to really get out there and rebuke them. Don't we sort of, isn't that like human nature? We tend to judge people very externally, very superficially, how they look, how they're dressed, what kind of job they hold, how much money is in their bank account, what their hair looks like, all these stupid, superficial things. And in the final analysis, they always cause paralysis because all these things mean nothing, my friend. They don't really matter when you get to the end, right? So you can't judge a book by looking at the cover. But we tend to be kind of a judgmental species, you know? They say that famous expression, don't judge another till you've walked a mile in their moccasins, right? Or a mile in their shoes. So I heard Rabbi Gordon, Alav Shalom, it's a famous joke, but he says it quite frequently, that don't judge another until you've walked a mile in their shoes. Then you judge them. Why? Because you're a mile ahead and you've got their shoes. So they're probably not going to catch you. But anyhow, in all seriousness, so in this week's Parsha, we have Rashi Rashi drops the bomb. There are 2 times when Eliezer is going to look for a match for Abraham's son Yitzchak, or Abraham's son Isaac, right? Those are the English words, right? So Abraham was looking for a good, appropriate match for his son Isaac. He sends Eliezer on this mission. He says, go back to my people, and because my people, it's in our DNA, this notion of chesed, of kindness. She has to be a kind person. I don't care how many degrees she has. I don't care how many millions she makes. I don't care what kind of camel she drives. If it's the Mercedes-Benz version of the camel or the Maserati. The main thing I'm looking for is this attribute of kindness. Is that within her? Is that who her essence is? So Eliezer goes, and he describes, he says, I'm going to get to a well, and if a lady comes up to me and says, I'm going to provide you with some drinks, and I'm also going to provide drinks for your camels. Eliezer brought at least 10 camels with him, so that's a hefty load to carry back and forth from a well to every camel. And that's the criteria he lays out. He says, God Almighty, if you can do this, then this is the one, right? Asher hochachta la'avdecha liyitzchak. This is the one that you have hochachta. What the heck? This is the one that you have rebuked. Okay, what's going on here? All right. Now you go. She comes. Excuse me. Okay, I'm sorry. You'll have to put up with this noise in the background. That's from our office making an announcement. Stay tuned, folks. Don't go away. So. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. All right, so he says that this is the one that you have hochachta l'avdecha liyitzchak. Huh? What? There's that word hochiach. What? How does that make sense? You've rebuked this one? No. So Rashi says it means to choose. Very interesting. This is the one you have chosen. Okay, you have selected. Now, then Eliezer is taken to Rivka's brother's home, to LAZmon. LAZmon comes out to greet them, and Eliezer repeats the whole thing, right? He repeats the whole story. He tells, I came to the well, and this was the criteria. Is she going to show kindness? She's going to give water for me to drink and water to my camels. This is the one that you have chosen. Before I even finish speaking, Rivka comes up and offers me some drinks and offers to give my camels also, to water my camels. And he uses the expression again. Hi ha'isha, this is the woman, asher hochiach Hashem leven Adoni. Okay, this is the one you have hochiach. Doesn't that mean rebuke? Isn't that how we usually translate hochiach to hochiach? These exact words. Rashi drops the bomb over here. He says hochiach is this idea of selecting, of choosing. You're selecting one thing from another, one thing from a bunch of others. This is the one that you have selected. You have used your brain power and you've decided this is the proper one. And Rashi says it means selecting, it means choosing, and it means so too for every time it is mentioned in the Torah. Every time the word hochiach is mentioned, it means to choose, select. So it doesn't mean rebuke. So, hang on one sec, guys. I got a class about to come in. So it doesn't mean rebuke, guys. That is a mistranslation. You've heard it from me right here. According to Rashi, it's not my words. How cool is that? Hochiach tochiach means you should help your buddy who's having a hard time in life make good decisions, make proper choices. Come on, people now. Smile on your brother. Everybody get together. Try to love one another right now. Right now. Right now. That's right. You just got to show love. Show love to your brothers and sisters. Forget this idea of judging. Forget rebuking. It's not what it means. You shall surely help them to make good decisions. Peace, love, soul, happiness, all the good stuff. Yeah. Much love from Miami to one and all. Have a great Shabbat, a great weekend, everybody.